Right, yeah, should be back on with a part 2. Now, where was that, man? And the idols, actually, I've jumped. This is verse 5, and it says, "And the house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord." So we're gonna walk in the light of the Lord, man. You know, which is what the law, statutes, and commandments, man. You know. Verse 11, "The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fence wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. Because every, as the scripture says in Revelation, every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is Lord, man. So all praises, is going to go to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. The Lord is going to be set back. Yahweh Shai is going to be acknowledged once again by the whole earth, man. That's right, man. That's right. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. So because you got all these other gods are idols, man. The scripture says they're what? They're dumb idols. So they're gonna be abolished, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast the idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rock and into the tops of the ragged rocks, for fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? So the glory of the, people are gonna realize, yeah, man, our idols ain't shit. This ain't shit. We need to fear Yahweh Bashim Shai. Bear me 1 second. Let me see if the other bit even went up on the channel. Right. So that was what Isaiah the 2nd chapter. Dealing with the future. That also adds up with Isaiah the 60th chapter, and also the 61st chapter. I believe I did a video on that the other day. That's the spirit. I just flicked and I went straight to it. That Isaiah 2 links up with Isaiah 61. Which I'm not gonna get into right now. I did a video on that like just the other day, but go and read that Isaiah the 61st chapter. Isaiah 61. Isaiah 60 is another good chapter. Getting back in, because we know these breakdowns, but we gotta keep doing them, man. We gotta keep doing going through the breakdowns, man. Getting them correct as well. Like I'm just looking at Isaiah the 47th chapter as another good breakdown. Isaiah the 34th chapter, Isaiah the 42nd chapter, you know, behold my servant whom I uphold, mine elect, you know, in whom my soul delighteth. So the Lord's soul, Yahweh by Shem Shai, actually is delighted, you know, in the elect, man, to even be considered or to be potentially a part of that number. That's a great honor, man. You know that Yahweh by Shem Shai themselves are delighted, you know, you know. The soul, as it says here, behold my servant whom I uphold, mine elect, in whom my soul delighteth. I put my spirit upon him. So the spirit of the Lord is upon the elect, man. He shall bring forth judgment to the Gentiles. You know, we're bringing forth the judgment. If you read the book of Jeremiah, you know, Jeremiah 1, you know, it speaks about the Lord has made him a prophet unto the house of Israel, but also unto the nations, you know, to bring forth the judgments, man. You know, so yeah, we're sent unto the house of Israel, but we're also really sent unto all nations, man, because there's a message for each nation, you know, pretty much destruction, man, you know, things of that nature, you know. You know, it's deep, man. It's thinking, it's deep. What else is a good, I'm just flowing in the spirit right now, because there's something I want to get into, but I'm just thinking, what else is there, man? You know, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord. Where's that one, man? Isaiah the 4th chapter. You know, Isaiah's a heavy book, man. You know, Isaiah the 6th chapter. You know, these are all heavy, you know. In fact, let me jump back to, what is it, man? What was it I just had? Isaiah 47, right? I want to say something, man, through the Spirit. No, I wasn't. 47 is a good chapter, but it wasn't that one. What was it? What was it I just had, man? About the Lord's elect, you know, his soul rejoice, because we're like his soul rejoice in his chosen, his elect, because we're like the sacrifice, you know, the body. Every time you do a video, you know, you study, you pray, you do the work, man. You know, you go to the camp. That's like a sacrifice, you know, unto the Lord, man. And what in the scriptures, because we just read, I just quote, well, I read it, can't remember right now, but I just read it. If you rewind a bit, where it said in the book of Isaiah, you know, the Lord's soul delighteth in his elect, you know, whom he has given his spirit, you know, to judge the Gentiles. You know, that reminds me of like in the law where it said the Lord would pleasantly smell in the assembly, man, because of the burnt offerings. It was like a sweet smelling savor unto the Lord. So the elect, or us as the hopeful elect, we're like the sweet smelling savor unto Yahweh Shem Shai. You know, especially when you go to the camp, as Apostle Gobar brought out a couple of weeks ago. Like, when you go to the camp, that's like the setting up of the altar, the different bricks, you know, each brother being like a brick setting up the altar, man. You know, now I want to read something since I mentioned that. This is, I was thinking about this earlier, actually, and I'ma read this right, and I'm thinking of one brother in particular, the brother Caleb, because like you know, me and him, uh, right, we go in the same direction of home, you know, after camp. So when I don't drive, because sometimes I don't drive, sometimes I get the tube, which is the underground train. So if I don't drive, I'll you know go back with Caleb, man, and we're Israelites, man, so we're naturally clean. But me and this brother oftentimes have conversations on cleanliness, man, because we're both very high on that, man. Is in like we both regard cleanliness in hold cleanliness in high regard, you know. So think about what I'm about to read. That brother comes to mind, man. But on the idea of us being an altar, like the sacrifice unto the Lord, right? I want to read this. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 30, and I'm start from verse 17. Okay, and it says, "And the Lord spake, and the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make a laver of brass, and his foot also of brass, and wash withal, and thou shalt put it between the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar, and thou shalt put water therein, for Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet thereat. When they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, they shall that they die not. And when they come near to the altar to minister, to burn offering made by fire unto the Lord." So, you know, obviously the priesthood started with Levi, but when you read in the prophecies, it's going to to be extended onto the rest of the nation, all the other tribes. You know, you know, because you got guys talking about the apostles talking about the other day, guys talking about Yahweh Shai is gonna need a Levite to the fuck you talking about. Yahweh Shai is the ultimate high priest, and he's not a Levite. Which proves that the priesthood started with Levi, but it's now been extended to the rest of the nation, the other tribes, man. The other 11 tribes. Because the scripture says we're also a kingdom of priests. Peculiar people. Okay, but as we just read, that they had to wash, man. Seeing that the camp is like the altar where we minister. You know, like I said, I was thinking about this earlier, man. Brothers, man, you gotta, you know, not on the vanity side of things too tough, but you gotta take care of yourself, man. And you gotta, you know, pretty much wash, man. Take a, you know, take a bath, especially. That's come on, man. We're Israelites, so every day that's the standard. But make it a conscious effort to be presentable, even physically, even though our flesh ain't shit, but be presentable before the Lord, man. Okay, because the camp ain't just like, you can't be carnal, man. You gotta be spiritual. The camp ain't just, oh yeah, well, I'm standing here with the brothers and we're reading in the park or something. Nah, man. The spirit of the Lord actually comes around us, man. And it's in the scriptures that when you even go to, you know, to ease yourself, you'd have to leave outside of the camp. Why? Because this scripture said that the Lord, his spirit, walks up and down in the camp to deliver us. So that if the Lord saw an unclean thing, he would turn away and depart. So you even had to leave the camp, you know, to ease yourself, man. You know, we're a clean people. So when you go to the camp, man, make it a conscious effort to like, to bath before, man, to make sure your garments are clean. The clothes you're wearing, the actual garment you put on, you know, you know, because the angels come to sup with us, man. Like, you know, coming to camp and you're unclean, man. You should, you know, don't want to get too technical, man, but that ain't, if you really were serious about this and feared the Lord, man, you know, you would make sure certain things are in place where you're clean when you come to the camp, ceremonially clean, man. You know, because this is a sacrifice, man. How's the Lord meant to smell in a solemn assembly and to accept the sacrifice, and you unclean, man, or you ain't washed, man? The scripture clearly says it that Aaron and his son, they couldn't even come near, you know, lest they die, you know, if they hadn't washed, man. So cleanliness ain't optional, man. Cleanliness is a part of our culture, you know. It's a part of law. It's a part of our lifestyle, and that's something we gotta keep up, man. You know, for your own good, for my own good, but also out of fear of Yahweh, for Yahweh Bashem Shai. Okay, you know. So that verse 21, so they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they die not. It shall be a statute forever to even to him and to his seed throughout the generations. So are we not still in the process of time? Yeah, so now that the sacrifices and offerings are now through the works we do, we gotta make sure we're in a state of cleanliness and, you know, washed and clean, you know, when we do the work, man. Especially at the camp, you know. That's it on that anyways. Um like I said, when I go over like half an hour, YouTube takes forever to upload my videos, and I don't want that. So what I'm gonna do, I want 17 minutes for the final of this lesson. I'm all over the place, but it's the spirit. I'm gonna do a part 3, and I'm probably gonna get into Second Ezra's. A couple of verses won't be long. Gonna get into Second Ezra's, and then that'll be the end of it for today, man. So I'm gonna come back right now. Just give me a second. Shalom.